Welcome to week 2 of the CB's pregame show. I am your host, Ethan Collins, and joined alongside me, as always, is Chance Collins. Chance, how are you doing today?
Doing good this evening.
All righty. So we are recording this on a Tuesday. We'll have our coaches segment recorded on Thursday, but Chance, you have a little bit of a vacation coming up, so we decided that we wanted to get you in here early before you get on the boat so we can talk about last week's matchup and this week's preview. What do you say?
That sounds good.
Right.
It's a really big boat, just for the record.
Really big boat. For those who don't know me, and Chance knows this from growing up, I used to have a little obsession with the movie Titanic when I was a little kid. And people, and it's a running joke in the family to where it says, Ethan really likes the movie Big Boat. Mama won't watch Big Boat. So, anyways. All right. So, first off, we're going to start with a Cameron recap, and then in the next segment, third segment, we will go into a scouting report on the Frontier Ohio Cougars, who is the matchup this week at 7 o'clock, the home opener for this season. But first things first, we'll start out with Cameron in week 1 at Cameron. And Chance, I think if you wanted to sum it up in one word, I think you can definitely say that this was two good teams that met early in week 1.
Yes, I think we're going to see both of them playing in November.
Yeah, maybe even again.
Yes, very, very high possibility. Would love to have it at home, give us a little bit of advantage, because I do think home field played a part in the win for Cameron the other night.
All right, so first things first, I wanted to start with the mental aspects of the game, because I really thought this was a good aspect, and we'll start with the good, and we'll work from defense to offense, and then we'll go into the bad, and that's how we'll wrap up segment 1. And then we'll go into segment 3, which is the preview for Frontier, Ohio. Okay, so mental aspects, I wanted to highlight this good, clean play. Not just on the Clay Battelle side, but both sides. If I remember correctly, Chance, 0 pre-snap penalties for the Clay Battelle CBs?
If I remember correctly, I'm agreeing with you, yes. I don't remember any pre-snap penalties.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's just an absolute astonishing number when it comes to the fact of, this was the first time that these two teams played each other. I want to go over the numbers real quick again as well, and this was Chance stats, so don't get mad at me, get mad at him if they're not the official stats, but Caleb Hall had 30 yards on 17 carries and a 2-point conversion. Caleb Snodgrass led the way rushing with 15 carries for 45 yards and a 2-point conversion. Corey Cohen, 9 of 25, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 153 yards. Braden Ponseroff just shy of that 100 mark. 94 yards on 6 receptions and a touchdown. Santa Fe, Cody Clovis, 42 yards on just 2 receptions. And another guy in the stat sheet in the reception column was fullback, tight end, whatever you want to call him, Cooper Payton, making his football debut for the first time since 6th grade, and 2 receptions for 17 yards. So we'll move on to we'll keep moving with the good here, and first I'll start out with the defense. And the thing that sticks out to you is the chance this team can force turnovers for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to get some points off turnovers. They forced turnovers. They played really, really well in the first half. They had a couple drives they bent, but they didn't break. Overall, the defense looked really, really good, I feel, the whole game.
Yeah, I tend to agree. 2 fumbles and an interception as well. Decent tackling as well. Outside of maybe containing Case and Angel in the first half, I thought they really zeroed down on him in the second half. He had less than 20 yards rushing in the second half, which is astonishing considering the fact of what he did to us in the first half. So I'll ask you this question. Is that good situational coaching, or do you give credit to the players on being able to say, this guy's hurting us, we need to bring him down?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think both teams made adjustments. I think Cameron Seed, we were playing the scrambling a little bit more. That's why you see their passing stats went up in the second half. I think the CBs seen they were shutting them down, felt comfortable with it, and then they come out a little bit more pass happy and hit some big plays on us in the second half. By all means, though, on that field, Case and Angel showed he was the best athlete out there.
Yeah, another great thing about this CB's team, though, is that we've seen some teams in the past, I can honestly even say maybe even last year against Cameron, once they started to jump out to a little bit of a lead, it was easy to just kind of shrug your shoulders and just kind of lay down on the fact. This CB's team is different. They're not going to just lay down and let you crawl all over them. They're going to keep playing and keep fighting. And I think it's that fight that made this a game in the second half, because it could have been very easy when this team when Cameron went up 22-8 to just kind of lay down and go, well, guys, we tried, we gave it a good effort. But this team fought back and made it a one-score game.
It was. They were down 22-8. I think there was even a couple drives in there that nothing really happened, just time going off the clock, like the teams punted back and forth with each other. And then you turn around, you get the big hit by Cooper Statler. That opens up Ponceroff for the touchdown on the defensive side of the ball. And you kind of seen the spirits lift a little bit. But the thing was, if you didn't play them first two drives before that really, really tough, you wouldn't have been in position to make that. And now all of a sudden you got a one-score game. And, I mean, overall, you're right. Did not quit. There was no quit down to the last drive.
All right, so we'll move on to the offense here. And, Chance, I think the thing that pops off here is that these pass catchers are legit. Braden Ponceroff is just the definition of a contested specialist. Santa Fe is probably the definition of a speedster, and we saw that evident. I mean, once again, Cody Clovis, 42 yards on just 2 receptions. You do easy math, that's 21 yards a catch. That's pretty good. And then you have 6 receptions for 94 yards on Braden Ponceroff, and he had the only touchdown. He actually was credited for both touchdowns on both sides of the ball.
And I just think about the point with Ponceroff. I told you I watched the film, and it was an all-around game. He was blocking downfield on the runs when he wasn't in there. He done a good short comeback program where Corey was hitting him in the short, and then he was making something out of nothing. He was going deep at times, getting them, as you said, contestant catches. One of them wasn't a long pass, but he definitely won the one for the touchdown, I think, at the second quarter when we scored. Went up, got it, and brought it down. And I told you that time, I seen Braden talking to Corey and jawing, and I knew right then and there the ball was going to Ponceroff. He was just kind of saying, put it where I can get it. I promise you I'm going to come down with it.
And he did.
He did.
All right, and we've kind of still yet to see 3 or 4 of these targets in the passing game. These running backs could get involved in the passing game, both Caleb Snodgrass and Caleb Hall. We've still yet to see Colt Sandy really get involved at the tight end position, but he's been doing very good blocking. Still yet to see him come in as a receiver, so I'm interested to see that. And you're also, we didn't see Trey Huggins really get involved. I think he had one targeted pass, but it went over his head. Not very good ability to catch that ball there, but at the same time, you throw it to him. I think he can make some plays happen. So we've still maybe yet to see the best from this pass game come about.
We were talking about the point earlier before we came on air, and I really think there's, room for this team to grow. Like, even watching as we lost, I feel like this team offensively and defensively can grow in a lot of ways. And I do think the pass catchers is one of them. The tight end position, the speed and height that we have there between, Colt Sandy and
Cooper Payton.
And Cooper Payton is going to become a problem for some teams. I mean, Cameron's a special breed. They're your state runner-ups. And yes, they lost some people, but when you return your starting quarterback after going to the state title game with his star receiver, you're not going to have as many moving pieces to fix as maybe we are with, getting transfers in and so on.
All right, so we did the good. Now let's highlight the bad. And Chance, I'll let you choose. Do you want to go offense or defense first?
Let's go on the offensive side.
Okay, offensive side. I think this is pretty obvious, and the offensive line will tell you this firsthand. I think you got to protect the quarterback better. Corey Cohen took a lot of hits. Now, there's a bit of give and take with that situation. Maybe Corey Cohen can get rid of the ball a little bit quicker, but at the same time, I think overall, we sit here and say Corey Cohen took too many hits. The offensive line will tell you that they let him get hit too many times. Offensive line got to be better.
Yeah, the pass protection as a whole, I ain't going to put it all on the big uglies up front. If you're a tailback, running back and you're standing back there to protect the quarterback, you got to help that offensive line out because sometimes they rush more than the offensive line can protect. And when that happens, it's up to the running back to pick that up. And overall, yes, needs to be better. As far as, I'll give a shout out to a couple players on the line that I watched. I felt the left side of the line done a really good job this week between Cameron Mercer and Huggy Bear. I felt they were legit, especially considering they're working together. This year's the first time with Huggy Bear transferring in. But I do feel they were really positive on their side. I do believe, when I say the left side, I'll even say this. When Cameron Mercer left for a little bit injured, Josh Wilson came in. We lost maybe a little, but we didn't lose a whole bunch. Like, Josh done a really good job with, we said in the pregame before that, he's a plug-and-play player. I think you can stick him almost anywhere out there, and he'll find a way to try to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And, going on to the fact of Corey Cohen, did you feel like maybe he could be a little bit more decisive? A couple times it was hesitant. I'm going to put that up to first week. He's going to see a whole bunch of defenses throughout the year in practice and in games. I think that decisiveness of saying, okay, hit him on the break, he's going to be open, I think that'll come to fruition as the season rolls on. What do you agree?
I do think not only that, as he matures, even as a junior right now, we're going on, he didn't start the game 4 of his sophomore year. The 7-on-7s they ran this spring is great, but it don't give you game action of getting hit as hard as he was getting hit. I really think that the beating he was taking took a toll on him a little bit mentally, where he started to want to get rid of it. He was, even then at that point in time when the offensive line gave him protection, he was still antsy and wanting to get rid of it probably a little bit sooner than he really needed to. It works both ways. I mean, he's going to mature. I do think he's going to build more of a rapport with his receivers. And then on top of that, a little bit better pass protection is going to give him a pocket to step up in. We talked about a couple of the throws that he did make. He got that pocket, and when he got a chance to step into his throw, it was a completely different ball.
Yeah, so we'll switch it from the pass game to the run game here a little bit. I felt like the run game started extremely well. We saw Caleb Hall get a couple carries for a few good yards, and then when Caleb Snodgrass came in, he got a few carries for some good yards. But slowly but surely, that run game started to trickle down in terms of progression over the course of the game, and I felt like that really hurt come towards the end of the game because you became one-dimensional just a tiny bit and being pass-heavy.
Yeah, Cameron seemed to adjust at halftime, especially started sending more. They were blitzes, but they were run blitzes. They were designated to stop the run, but they kept on running at the quarterback if it was there. I think that part of what we've seen in the second half was Cameron, head coach, making good adjustments, which we gave that head coach a lot of credit going into that game, that he's a really good head coach, and I think he really made the adjustments he needed for the second half.
All right. Any final thoughts on the Cameron recap?
Can't wait to see him in November.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cameron recap here in segment 1 of the CB's pregame show. When we come back, we'll preview Frontier Ohio Cougars and predict some state matchups around West Virginia. You are listening to the pregame show on WAJR.com.
Your child doesn't have to leave home or go to college to build a future. The energy industry is hiring, starting at $25 an hour with benefits and certifications. And the more they learn, the more they earn. It's hard work, but it's worth it. It's not a short-term job. It's a career. And the energy industry is hiring. DPS Land Services. Learn more at dpslandservices.com.
Welcome back to the pregame show here on WAJR.com, and we're about to get set for the coach's interview, and this coach's interview is sponsored by HealthWorks. When your body hurts, go to HealthWorks. I'm joined by Coach Aaron Lepeau. Coach, how are you doing today?
Hey, as a friend of mine and one of my assistant coaches would say, if I was doing any better, I couldn't stand it.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that is a Coach Huffman quote, if I've ever heard one. Absolutely.
I love it. That's a great way to start the day, and he's Mr. Optimistic in our office and on our team, and you got to have that.
Absolutely. Got to have a Mr. Positive. Sometimes you got to have a Mr. Negative too. I think
I got one of those too. That's
we won't say who that is, but I think I got a pretty good idea of who it is.
Well, listen, if you want to know the truth, that's just how it comes across sometimes. So.
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to ask you too much about Cameron, but I do want to get a couple questions out of the way about Cameron, because I know you probably want it out of sight and out of mind. So I guess I'll just start by asking you this. What was your thoughts on the Cameron game, watching the film and going over with it with your squad?
I mean, the end result is I have to do a better job preparing my guys to go win games like that. Right after the game, you focus on the 4 turnovers. But when you watch the film, there's just so many things to clean up as far as assignments go. And I thought we played a brand of football that our community can be proud of. I thought we were tough and physical and aggressive. I thought our defense played lights out. I thought they played with technique. They played with low pad level. They flew around fast and hit people. But offensively, we got to, if you want to win against really good teams like that, you really have to get focused on the details. And so that's on me to make sure that my guys are focused in on those details.
Well, I guess that was the answer to my next question I was going to ask is, what, after one game, what do you see as the biggest improvements that you feel like can be made on this team? But if you want to add anything to that, you're more than welcome to. But you almost pretty much answered the question there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a talent issue. Cameron's a very good football team, but we feel like we beat ourselves. And so it's really just offensive line-wise, just offensive line assignments and gelling together. And there's a couple fundamental technique things there that we need to clean up. But we have talented linemen. So that's the positive, is like everything is fixable.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are. That's what coaching is and playing sports is fixing, correcting mistakes and improving and getting better.
Yeah. The initial reaction that I saw when watching the film, and Chance and I talked about this as well, is that this is certainly a coachable team. This is a really talented team that faced another very talented team in week 1. And I don't think either of these teams played their best football. I don't think Cameron played their best football. I don't think Clay Battelle played their best football. But at the same time, though, that's why we play the game. Brad Howe always says in Mountaineer Game Day, you're allowed to get better. And that's exactly what I think you guys will do over the course of this season.
Absolutely.
So turning the page over to this Frontier Cougars squad, when I was watching film with them, I saw a lot of the offense that you kind of started running last year at the beginning of the season. Can you tell me your thoughts on that? Was that your thoughts, that this is a very similar offense to what you were trying to run last year, which is great because you have that kind of on film, or do you see a little bit of differences, and what are those differences if you see them?
I don't know. That thought honestly didn't cross my mind. I see there were some similar formations. They're really creative on offense. They shift and motion around a lot to try to get a numbers advantage at the point of attack. So they keep you on your toes there with our defense and try to. There's a saying like you don't have to outsmart the other coach. You have to outsmart 16, 17-year-olds. And so, it can, with those shifts and motions, we've been practicing stuff with that this week, and they're creative with that. They were a good football team last year. They went toe-to-toe with some teams we play, Magnolia and Valley, and those Magnolia and Valley had good teams last year. they basically got that whole team back from last year except that quarterback, and they moved their best receiver from that team to quarterback. And so
he's got a good arm.
He has a good arm, and he's fast and elusive, and their running back is also fast and elusive. So they're 1-1 so far this year. The Ohio's a week ahead of us, and so they present a challenge for sure as far as what they do offensively. They're you look at a lot of their scores from last year, and so far this year, they're used to scoring a lot of points. So, yeah, challenge for sure.
Defensively, I saw more of a 3-4, but some multiple formations. The thing that I found the most interesting is that they really only start about 1 to 2 offensive linemen on the defensive side, which I kind of found similar to the Cameron defense. A lot of speed, but maybe a little bit smaller in size compared to you guys when it comes down to the line.
Yeah, they're I don't know. We're big on the line, but they're bigger than Cameron was. Cameron's defense, they hang their hat on, even though they're small and undersized. They're just so aggressive and still so strong that they'll fire and shoot gaps and blitz and things and get through and try to play in your backfield. Frontier's bigger. And that's quite not their game on defense. But they do have some fast linebackers, but not at those like down tackle and those guard positions like Cameron had.
Yeah. In the optimism of scheduling thing, do you find it's a bit of a challenge to have two of the best teams that you're probably going to play all season in your first two games, or is this a challenge that you kind of welcome, or is this just not in your mind at all? You're just kind of looking at it week by week and just saying, well, we've got another good team we need to play.
Well, it's not. That's probably true. What you said last was it's not really in my mind at all. I think our schedule changed, 4 times throughout the whole off season with teams dropping and stuff like that. So we just, we picked up another team and said good. Picked up another team and said good. And the way we look at it really is we feel like we have a playoff-ready schedule, and by the time we get through it, we'll be ready to win playoff games. And so we look forward to having a quality opponent. We feel like we're a quality team, so, this is what me and our coaches and our team want to be doing. Great. It's an opportunity,
Yeah.
It's like Rocky IV, he was fighting a Russian. It wouldn't have been nearly good of a movie if he was fighting Spider Rico.
Yeah, absolutely. But my last question here is that I know you didn't plan this, but you also have 7 home games this year, which kind of worked out for you. And how important is it for you to establish a home field advantage early? And try to give me a little bit of a pitch here to the community and the fans to come out tomorrow evening.
Oh, it's huge. We didn't do that on purpose. Like I said, our schedule changed like 4 times, and it just kind of fell that way. And but having home field advantage is a blessing. I think it's great for this year with everything going on with the 100 closing in our community growing and becoming larger, and us having a bigger family now. So it's more opportunities for our community to spend time together and cheer each other on and have a good time. But our schedule being so tough, it is tough, but they're home games, and there is an advantage being the home team. So we absolutely need our community's help and support. It being loud and getting the momentum and keeping it, that definitely affects the game. And so absolutely, everybody listening to this, please come out and make as much noise as you can.
Absolutely, and that's going to do it for this coach's interview, sponsored by HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness, your West Virginia's choice for physical therapy for over 45 years. When your body hurts, go to HealthWorks. Find a location near you. Go to healthworksrf.com. And Coach LePeau, I really appreciate your time and look forward to calling another game tomorrow.
Hey, guys, thank you for everything you do for our team and our communities, and thank you.
Absolutely. That's Coach Aaron LePeau, and we'll be back to wrap up the pregame show here on WAJR.com.
College isn't for everyone, and that's okay. There's another way to build a life right here. The energy industry offers real pay, $25 an hour to start. They'll get full training, certifications, and a path to grow. It's not a short-term job. It's a career. The dream doesn't live in a dorm. It lives in hard work. And the energy industry is hiring. DPS Land Services. Learn more at dpslandservices.com.
Welcome back to the pregame show here on WAJR.com. Segment 3. I am joined, as always, back again is Chance Collins. Chance, are you ready to look at some of Frontier, Ohio and make some predictions?
I'm ready to do it.
All right. So, Frontier, Ohio, when I watched the film on these guys, I saw what is remarkably similar to what Coach Aaron LePeau and the CBs were doing kind of at the beginning of last year with this zone read scheme. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
It almost looks like the exact same offense we were running.
Yeah, so I thought that, but this team is going to rely heavily on their running back. His name is Caleb Kirkpatrick. He's their main weapon. And, Chance, isn't it just weird that every running back we run into is going to be named Caleb? We got 2 running backs named Caleb. They got a running back named Caleb. Anyways, I thought looking at the film, Kirkpatrick is definitely much better at breaking tackles and bouncing to the outside when the blocks aren't there. This running back is going to be a lot harder to deal with than, say, Holland was last week.
Yes, and it's going to be a good test for us, too. I mean, it was Case and Angel last week who was getting to the outside on us with more speed. It's going to test us, and it's going to let us know right off the bat if that's going to be an issue all season long or if we can make the adjustments to stop it.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, their quarterback, Avery Powell, I think he can hurt you, but is very easily rattled by pressure. He's a converted wide receiver into the quarterback position, but he's got good mobility, a bit smaller than Angel in the stature size. I would say he probably weighs maybe 30 to 40 pounds less than Angel does, but he can hurt you with his arm. We've seen a few passes when they do pass. He really gets it on time and on target, really in stride. They really kind of run the ball a lot to open you up and be susceptible to pass, which, as we've seen before, this CB's team, when they bite, they could be punished really hard. So we got to stay disciplined on the defensive side. Would you agree?
I agree with that. I could also tell you, looking at the film, I feel like it's opposite this week when it comes to the power to speed combination. I feel Frontier is going to be a little bit bigger on the line in a lot of ways.
Do you think they're bigger than us?
I think they're bigger than us, and I think we're going to be the speed team this week on the line. I think if we're going to win these matchups, we need to do it with a little bit more of our speed. Wilson getting around the edge, Cooper Payton getting around the edge, Colt Sandy, I think, coming in from the outside. Those guys are going to be a lot more valuable to us, especially if they can get around that, what I feel is a slower offensive line than Cameron had. If they can force the runner to cut up and not to the outside, which is something I felt we really didn't do that good versus Cameron, is we forced to the outside. And I really feel it's one of those, you always need to get that guy going to the outside, force him to the inside, because you're forcing them back to your teammates. Well,
that's a very good point. Defensively for this team, I think it's more of a 3-4 scheme or maybe a 5-2-3, wherever you're kind of seeing it. One thing, Chance, that I saw that's very interesting is I saw only one starting offensive lineman on the D line. You see the other guys being tailbacks and wide receivers, and those guys are the DNs and the outside linebackers. So are we going to see kind of a similar setup in terms of the defensive side where you sit there and you go, well, this is a great matchup offensively for us. We've got a whole bunch of size on the line that can really push back, but you have to worry about the speed coming into the outside and plugging these run gaps in a quick fashion.
It is. I mean, they're not, from what I've seen, I don't feel they're as quick as Cameron. I do feel that, as you said, we're going to need to use our size to our advantage. Sometimes I felt like we weren't as aggressive as we needed to be on the line. I feel like, I want to see you get nasty in there. Get in there and grab a hold of somebody.
Within reason, we don't need the yellow hankies coming out.
No, we don't need the yellow hankies, but I feel like, it's okay to get emotional in there and, want to drive the guy into the ground. I mean, Cooper Statler done that on a couple plays, and it was fun to watch. I just feel like everybody else can kind of get in there with it, and, if they show the same emotion he is, we're going to be a lot better off on getting that push that our tailbacks need, because if we can get our tailbacks to the secondary, I think our tailbacks can make the secondary pay.
And if you get the run game going, that really opens up the pass game, which I think is the biggest key in terms of matchups into this game. It should be mentioned, Frontier, this is going to be their third game coming into this season. This is going to only be Clay Battel's second. I think that's a little bit of an advantage when it comes to Frontier because you've had 2 games of experience. Third game is really when you're sitting there going, okay, I think we're in mid-season form about now, whereas Clay Battel is still working out the kinks and trying to figure out things. But in the 2 games of film, I don't feel like Frontier has really been tested into the passing game. And we're probably going to continue to say this all year. Nobody is going to face a passing scheme or a passing game like the CBs have, especially in single A.
No, I agree with you. Watching the film, I kind of felt their corners definitely were smaller and slower than Cameron's. And I think that could be a big advantage for us in that if we can get the run game settled in and give Corey time to where they can't get the pressure with their speed on their defensive line and open things up. And it would be nice to get a game to where we give Corey a pocket, let him get settled in and see what he can do with a good pocket. Because I think if we get him some confidence games, because I do believe Valley probably will be a confidence game looking at how their first game went last week. But the thing I worry about when I see 3 games versus 2 is we cramped up a little bit in the second half versus Cameron. Cameron didn't. You asked the question, where was our conditioning? Because it was a pretty cool night, when it comes to some of them players. Now you got to worry, the more games you've played, the more game conditioned you are ready. I'm hoping that don't show up to us late in the third and fourth quarter to where we start cramping again and some of our, bigger contributors have to step out.
This is no slouching opponent. I definitely think Frontier is a lot better than we gave them credit for coming into this season. But, Chance, I'm going to pose you this last question. If we play like we did last week, there were some good, there were some bad. Do you think we win this game?
I'm going to put an asterisk with that. I think the pass protection has to be better, but if we can improve that, yes. Everything else, if it's the same, I think we come away with the win.
Okay. All right. That'll do it for the preview of the Frontier Ohio Cougars. And with that, we will go into game predictions for this week. And Chance, if you notice, there's 2 pages of notes in here because I have some game to work with here. And there's a lot of good matchups this week as well.
There is, but I also noticed at the end of your paperwork, you were quick to put in what our records were last week. So
I'm going to continue to put this in throughout the week. I'm going to go week to week, and then I'm going to go overall because we also predicted state champions, and I'm getting a little bit worried when it comes to my state champions. But we'll start out here in Quad A. First game I want to highlight is Hurricane versus George Washington. Hurricane lost to a school in Kentucky named George Rogers Clark, 42-7. George Washington defeated AAA side Spring Valley 27-7. Chance, who you got in this one?
I'm going to go with George Washington. I believe anytime you can beat Spring Valley by almost 3 touchdowns gives me a little bit of faith in you.
See, I kind of want to take Hurricane in this one, but I'm also afraid to lose my lead. You know what? What the heck? I'll go with Hurricane. I'll go with Hurricane in this one as he writes it down in his little notes there. All right. Probably what you and I both have as the Quad A state championship come December in Charleston. Martinsburg versus Huntington. Martinsburg lost to a team in New Jersey. Huntington lost to a 6A team in Tennessee. Both 0-1. Chance, who do you got in this one?
I'm still going to go with Martinsburg. The team Martinsburg played is a really good team. I think there was a stat I read somewhere, it's won 5 of the last 6 state titles that the Division are at. I know that program's bringing it. Huntington, we were shocked because Huntington's got a good ball player. They switched the position he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing quarterback.
Quarterback instead of receiver. And I'm interested to find out, I don't know if that adjustment's going to work this early in the season. I think he's going to need more time to grow, so I'll go with Martinsburg.
I agree. I'm going to go with Martinsburg as well. I'm not going to go with Huntington just yet. I think that position really needs some time to come to fruition. Martinsburg, I think, is just the better team. All right. Next one is Morgantown versus Jefferson. I think this is a very big benchmark game for both teams. Morgantown looked really, really good against PHS in the Metro News Kickoff Classic. Jefferson lost to Spring Mills, but is looking to bounce back to maybe take on one of the contenders in Quad A. Chance, who do you got in this one?
I'm going to go with Morgantown. I think Jefferson had the tougher matchup last week, by all means, but at the same time, Morgantown stomped PHS.
I think they got a lot of confidence coming into this game.
And I do too, but I know Spring Mills, if I'm correct, ran heavy on Jefferson. Jefferson had a little bit of trouble with it. I'm just going to go with the point. I think Morgantown's going to be able to keep the ball control and win the game.
I'm going to go with Morgantown as well. University versus Parkersburg South. University defeated Musselman 42-21. How legit are the University Hawks? South lost at Wheeling Park 23-7. Chance, Hawks or Patriots?
I'm going to go with the Hawks. I believe University is going to be able to pull this one out.
I am actually going to go with the Patriots of Parkersburg South. So I think this is a bounce-back game. Wheeling Park is a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. That game was pretty close up until the very end. It was almost a garbage time touchdown to make it 23-7. So that'll be an interesting matchup. And then, just like that, Wheeling Park is on this list at Spring Mills. I think we're probably going to both pick Spring Mills, but still a great benchmark to see where these teams are, Chance.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to go with Spring Mills, but I am interested to see how Wheeling Park plays this game. Are they going to be able to keep it competitive, or are we going to find out that Spring Mills, Martinsburg, Huntington, if them 3 schools are kind of a step above everybody else in Quad A, if Wheeling Park can find a way to hang around, say even within 2 touchdowns, I don't think that next tier is that far ahead, maybe like it was in years past.
So you're looking at it as maybe who is established in the A tier, because you put in Martinsburg, Huntington in that A tier, and maybe you could circle Morgantown in there if they get a good win over Jefferson. So what you're saying is that if Spring Mills gets a decent win, comfortable win over Wheeling Park, you're looking to put them in that A tier for 4 teams in Quad A?
I feel like Spring Mills is already in that A tier. I'm saying that if Wheeling Park can play with Spring Mills, Wheeling Park's moving up to where they're in that high part of the B category, not that far off from getting into that A category.
See, this is how on-air chemistry works. You knew, even though I was talking about A tier, that B tier was right there. That's how good on-air chemistry gets you. All right, moving on to AAA side, Spring Valley in another Quad A matchup against Parkersburg High School. Once again, Parkersburg coming off a devastating loss to Morgantown. They'll look to get their confidence back over a really, really good AAA side in Spring Valley. Chance, who you got in this one?
I'm going with Spring Valley. I think they're going to be the one that bounces back. I think the Big Reds of Parkersburg, this may be a hard year for them.
All right, I'm going to take Spring Valley as well. Moving on here, AA side Moorfield taking on AAA side Elkins. Elkins is facing 2 AA teams so far. However, they absolutely mashed Lincoln. How legit do you see these Elkins Tigers looking, despite them playing 2 AA squads to start out the season?
I mean, they're playing AA squads, but I feel like they're playing good AA teams. But at the same time, as way they manhandled last week, I'm going to have to go with Elkins for the win.
I think I'm going to go with Elkins too. I think this will definitely show more of a matchup about what Lincoln High School is as opposed to how either of these teams are. I think both of these teams will probably make their playoffs in their respective classes. And that brings up a more in-depth conversation about it now being 4 classifications. I feel like a double A versus a single A, or different classification matchups now have really kind of lost their wow factor as they did maybe in years past, because in years past, the only teams, when it was 3 classifications, the only double-A teams that were playing triple-A sides were Bridgeport and Fairmont Senior, and that was it. Nobody else was playing triple-A sides. Now, you had double-A sides playing single-A sides, but none of the quad A playing triple-A or triple-A playing double-A and vice versa. So do you think with 4 classifications that these inter-classification matchups, I've said classifications about 3 times now, but do you think they've kind of lost their power as they did in years past?
I'll say single A to double A to triple A, yes. I feel like when you see a double A beat a triple A, it's maybe not as much of a shock factor. I do believe when you put quad A beside a team, I don't care if you're triple, double, or single. If you beat a quad A team, I feel you've accomplished something.
All right. That's a very short and quick answer, and I like that. All right. Double A side Bluefield at triple A side Princeton. Bluefield defeated Grand Virginia 20-10. Princeton defeated Capital 28-7. Chance, I know you like those Bluefield Beavers. What do you think?
I do, and this is maybe more of a heart pick than anything. I'm going to go with my Beavers. I think they're, every once in a while, that's just a team that becomes legit. I think they could play in AAA when they have a good team, and I think this year may be one of those that we may be talking to them come semifinals of the AA competing for a state title.
Well, I picked Princeton to win the AAA state title, so I'm going to stick with that pick and go with Princeton in this one. Herbert Hoover at Winfield. Herbert Hoover lost to Nailbrighter to AA side Independence 37-34. Winfield defeated Lincoln County 55-8. Chance bounce back game for the Huskies, or do the Generals come up victorious and go 2-0 again?
The only thing I'm worried about right now with Herbert Hoover is how they lost that game last week. I hope it's not a letdown to where they come back this week and don't play as good because of how, I guess, heartbreaking that loss was. But I'm going to go with Herbert Hoover with the victory.
I'm going to go with Winfield here. I think they're a very good team. I think maybe even a semifinal side in AAA. Herbert Hoover is in a little bit of a rebuilding year. Not to say they can't win, or I think this game will definitely be close, but I just think Winfield is the better team. Moving on to AA now. It's Chance's favorite location and favorite broadcast crew, the Braxton County. Are they the Eagles? Is that right? Falcons?
I can't remember, to be honest.
It's some kind of bird. But anyways, Gilmer County, this is why I have this matchup in here. Single A side, Gilmer County, who is on the schedule, taking on Braxton County at Braxton County. Gilmer County faced a little bit of trouble against Calhoun County, but they ended up defeating them handily 46-20. Braxton County lost to South Harrison 23-15. And Chance, I'm going to let you give this stat. How many turnovers were in that game?
10 total, if I'm correct.
10?
10.
10?
10.
Oh, gosh. I'll throw it up to week 1 jitters. Braxton County in this one.
I'm going Braxton County, too.
All right. West Side at Mingo Central. West Side defeated Wyoming East 54-6. Mingo Central defeated possible single A championship contender Tug Valley 35-30. Maybe a bounce back year for the Mingo Central Miners. Chance, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think they're going to be digging up some coal, showing some power down there in Mingo Central. I'm going to
best
go with
uniforms
them.
in West Virginia.
They are really
hands
good uniforms.
Down. The Fighting Ellises, or we can call them. I'm going to take the Mingo Central Miners as well. The alma mater of Chance Collins, the St. Mary's Blue Devils, even though they're purple and gold, taking on a team that is actually blue and gold in Oak Glen. Oak Glen defeated Weir 32-14. St. Mary's defeated AA side Ravenswood 13-0. Chance, I think this is all important for 2 reasons. 1, you're a St. Mary's graduate. 2, Oak Glen is on the schedule. And 3, about Oak Glen, they're a lot better than we thought they were going to be coming into this season.
Yes, and it's going to be a good test to kind of measure where they're at. I think they're so much better than we thought they were that I'm going to pick them to win this, even though it's my alma mater. I believe if they lose this game on Friday night, it's going to be because they got out-coached. Got all the respect in the world for Jody Moe.
I'm going to go with Oak Glen as well. Moving on to single A side. Chance, it's time to talk about Wheeling Central.
My favorite part of the show.
All right. They are taking on Fort Fry, Ohio. Chance, did you know that the Wheeling Central Maroon Knights only have 8 games scheduled this year?
I did not.
Looking at their schedule, they only have 8 games scheduled this year. And it should be mentioned that the seeding in the playoffs is determined by points per matchup. So if you have less games,
you have less points.
No, you get more. Less to divide.
Okay.
So, I may have been wrong about Wheeling Central not getting that number 1 seed. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes. But they are facing possibly one of their toughest games on the schedule. Did you know that, first off, Wheeling Central defeated Union Local Ohio 25-19, but Wheeling Central is 0-3 against Fort Fry in the last 6 years. Fort Fry may be a powerhouse in the Ohio side. Chance, do you know when the last time Fort Fry got beat by Wheeling Central?
I just take a complete guess at this because I actually have no idea. I'm going to go 2016.
Okay. It was before I was in high school. It was before you were in high school. It was before my mother was in high school. It was, according to Four Seasons Football, the last time Wheeling Central defeated Fort Fry 20-0 in 1980. Fort Fry has dominated Wheeling Central Catholic Maroon Knights over the past millennium. Or age, I don't know how you determine a millennium. Anyways, East Hardy against Pendleton County. I think this is a very interesting matchup because...
Hold on, let's choose Wheeling Central and Fort Fry. I'll let you go first.
This is tough, man. Everything in my being wants to go with Fort Fry, but my mind tells me to pick Wheeling Central to break the curse of 45 years. 45 years? Wow. I'll go with Wheeling Central.
We're going to agree. I went with Wheeling Central also.
Anyways, okay. East Hardy against Pendleton County. East Hardy gave up 79 points. 79 to Wahama. Pendleton County beat AAA side Kaiser. A single A team defeating a AAA team. You talked about serious contenders. Pendleton County defeated Kaiser 48-34. Chance, who do you got in this one?
I'm going to go with Pendleton County. I just think Wahama, I know, is a good team, but East Hardy giving up that many points. But Pendleton County putting 48 up on Kaiser is impressive.
Kaiser is no sloucher. It's not like they defeated a bad AAA side either.
Correct.
Kaiser's a very good team. I'm going to go with Pendleton County as well. Another measuring stick matchup, Sherman at Tug Valley. I have this game on here because Sherman is going to be a tough game. I see this as a measuring stick for how good they are, and remind everyone, by the way, that this game against the Clay Patel Seabees in Sherman has been moved from Friday the 24th to Saturday the 25th at 1 p.m. Also, Sherman defeated AA side Sissonville 48-41. Once again, Tug Valley lost to Mingo Central 35-30. Chance, who do you got in this one?
I'm just going to go with Sherman. I just got a feeling on it.
I'm going to go with Tug Valley. I think the interesting part about it is that if you gave me maybe a 14-point spread, I would probably pick Sherman.
I think it's going to be a good game. Yeah, really good game.
I very much am interested in that matchup just to see where Sherman is, because I can tell you one thing, that game is going to be very interesting come October. Last matchup that we have, Magnolia at Wirt County. Magnolia opens their season, and Wirt lost to Eastern Ohio 47-13. Who do you have in this one?
It's rough to choose them, but I don't have faith in Wirt County, so I'm going to go with Magnolia.
The sprint no huddle? You don't have faith in the sprint no huddle chance? I'm going to go with Magnolia as well. If you remember correctly, I think they had like 22 juniors or something like that last year on their team. I'm exaggerating, of course, but they did have a lot of juniors, so they're going to have a lot of seniors this year. I'm going to take Magnolia in this one. Last week, I went 4-5. By the way, we did not do well at all last week in predicting matchups. I went 4-5. Chance went 2-7. Ugh. Let's hope we can do better this week.
Yeah, it looks like a Neil Brown record, doesn't it?
Oh, come on. He never had that bad of a record, 2-7. Good Lord. All right. Chance, I appreciate you taking time out of your Tuesday to come and record with me before you go on vacation. He's out for the next 2 weeks, folks. He's not going to be at the Frontier, Ohio matchup, and he's not going to be at the Valley Wetzel matchup. Chance, any final thoughts?
I just think this week is going to be a really good measuring stick for Clay Battelle. I think this team is really close to what Cameron is, but at the same time, I think they are built different in what they want to do. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can contain their tailback, who I think is a very fast athlete. We need to figure out if speed's going to be an issue for us this season.
All right. With that being said, for those listening on the pregame YouTube, hope to see you all there Friday night. Be sure to come say hi to me. I'm sure I'll appreciate it. And if you're listening to this before the pregame Friday night, be prepared because CB's football is coming up next on WAJR.com.